com, and I believe we're coming home tomorrow, so the Sunday show should be back up there. By the way, that if you have buddies that might be interested, you know, send them to my Twitter, where they can check out the new YouTube page. We're putting a bunch of clips up of this and other shows on video, absolutely free, by the way, on YouTube. So head up there and check that out. And the plan here for today, no Granny. And as we were getting ready to do the show today, I realized that, in fact, we could have had Granny here on the show. She would have just connected like she normally does. But, too late. I told her there was no show today, so no Granny today. It doesn't matter anyway, because we are doing the retro show here tonight. Part of the retro show. Tonight, we watch the Retro Nitro show. Get that one out of the way. And then on Sunday, we will watch the Retro Raw and maybe NWA, because I think NWA might only be an hour. I'll let everybody know over the next couple of days. But then we'll be caught up with Raw and Nitro. And then, I guess, we'll be back to normal for the following Tuesday. Is that right, Vinny?
As far as I can tell, yes.
So did you do the math here, or did Craig? Who you did this, right?
It was a team effort, I think, but I this afternoon, when you laid out the plan that we wanted to do, I went through and did the math and verified that the plan would work.
So we're good to go.
Yeah.
And this, I was alerted, was the final ever 3-hour Nitro.
Yeah.
That's wonderful news.
It is.
It was a horrible show.
It is.
A wretched, wretched show. I couldn't actually even understand half the show. So I guess in some ways it wasn't as bad as usual, because I just didn't know what the hell was going on. Maybe that makes it worse. I'm not sure. But I think somebody said that they expected this to be the worst Nitro that we'd ever seen, and I don't think I could go that far. Maybe I'm wrong. I was just mostly bored, but let's get into it and see.
So we have WCW Monday Nitro number 223, December 27th, 1999. Now, you mentioned this was the last 3-hour Nitro, but in fact, there's a disclaimer saying there were technical difficulties that will be presented in the fullest possible form, and then it comes up as just slightly under 2 hours.
That's right. It was like an hour and 55 minutes.
Yeah.
Which means that it was about 20 minutes shorter than your usual 3-hour Nitro.
Right.
And I guess our good friend Lance has already taken a look at next week's Nitro. And next week's Nitro is 1 hour and 35 minutes long.
Oh, it sounds wonderful.
Oh, it's going to be the best. I cannot wait. I shed a tear. I think Lance might have shed a tear. I think we'll all shed a tear losing an hour of this wretched show. But yeah, technical difficulties. I don't know what they cut out. There was a deal with 3 count that just kind of it's like it was joined in progress.
Yes. I didn't talk about it now. 3 count debuted in the show.
Was it this show or was it on Thunder?
Well, they made their Nitro debut on this show, I can tell you that much.
Well, yes, that they did.
And apparently the song they danced to, while it was not copyrighted music, it was, let's see if I can find the tweet right away. Someone let me know. It was very close to a blatant rip-off of a popular song, and they made it figure better safe than sorry and just skip ahead.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so to catch up on everything, we had clips from Thunder where Goldberg smashed his arm through a car window and busted it all to hell. He shredded a tendon. He needed surgery, and they claimed that he would be back at some point. And at the time, there were varying, I guess, they claimed maybe 4 weeks. Other people claimed it would be like 3 months. But anyway, he practically tore his arm off. Now, last week on this show, I went on this big tirade about Russo not giving a shit about anybody because we had a bottle smashed over somebody's head, and we had Goldberg smashing his arm through a car window, and we had Bret Hart speeding out of control in an icy ice rink or whatever. It was actually just the ground, but it was icy, and I don't know what the hell he's doing driving the car. And apparently Russo was very upset about this accusation. He didn't care about anybody. And his claim is that it was a sugar bottle that was used. Okay? Now listen, I'm not going to call Vince Russo a liar, all right? I wasn't there. This is all. First off, when he smashed the bottle over Bam Bam Bigelow's head last week, it sure as shit sounded like a real bottle to me. That's number 1. Number 2, Bam Bam Bigelow's head was busted open immediately.
Bleeding everywhere.
Yes. Now, I guess Russo's claiming that, hey, you know, you can get cut open with a sugar bottle. don't know if that's true. I did a lot of Googling on this subject, and all I heard was that these sugar bottles are very, very, very fragile. Like when you can order sugar bottles. I think you can even order them off Amazon. And the company basically says, I mean, your bottles may arrive destroyed because they're very, very fragile, all right? So last week, Canyon's wielding this bottle. He's holding it by the neck of the bottle, all right? This is not like a fake beer bottle. It's a fake champagne bottle. He's holding it by the neck. He's swinging it around with liquid in it, all right? I'm very skeptical that a sugar bottle is going to survive holding onto it by the neck and swinging it around while liquid's flying everywhere. Not to mention busting somebody open hard way when you hit him over the head with it, all right? So that's all I'm saying here. That's his side of the story.
I will just add
Yes.
that on the concept of wrestlers using real glass in items, we're also talking about here, Goldberg put his hand through a real car window.
Exactly.
So they as a company have lost the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, if you're going to be using sugar bottles, why aren't you using sugar glass? Why aren't you putting sugar glass in the windows of a limousine? For those of you who don't remember what happened, Goldberg, I guess they gave him like some metal gimmick that he was going to hold in his hand. So when he hit the window, like the metal gimmick was going to break the window. And I guess at some point, like he dropped the metal gimmick, and so he used his hand to actually smash through the window. But I mean, whether you give the guy a gimmick in his hand or not, why is Goldberg smashing through a legitimate glass window?
That's a great question.
Seriously, that's completely insane. As far as skidding out of control in a car, I guess Russo claimed, don't blame me, I just write the stuff, blame the stunt coordinator. Well, the stunt coordinator's fault too. Like, why is Bret Hart speeding out anywhere in a car? All right? Fine, maybe that one wasn't Vince Russo's fault, all right? I don't know what happened. But this is insanity. There's shit like this on the show every single week. And it's not just this show, it's Raw. Like, there are people hitting each other with glass bottles and shit on Raw. And it's too dangerous here in the 90s. If anybody's going to try and argue with me that it wasn't too dangerous in the 90s, get out of here. I didn't want to hear it. Don't even bother.
We're not even talking about what's going on in ECW at the time with New Jack,
No.
Vic Grimes, and Mike Awesome and Masato Tanaka. Yeah. The whole era needs to be wiped clean. Or can't be wiped clean. We just have to deal with it. So yes, we had a recap of Goldberg putting his arm through a goddamn car window and smearing blood all over the hood of the car. I don't want to say best part, but he smashes the first two windows, everything's fine, and he smashes that third one, and it's immediately clear something's gone terribly wrong. And he goes up to the hood of the car, and he looks at the windshield, which I guess he was supposed to smash too. And he kind of takes two feeble shots at it with his left hand, and he wipes his arm on the hood just to make sure blood gets everywhere. Yeah, a bad thing.
All right, hey, stand by, Vinny. All right, we're back, everybody. I fixed Vinny's mic. We had some complaints last time that when Vinny got agitated, it sounded horrible, so we've fixed everything. We should be good to go. Let's go, Vinny.
So here on Nitro to start, Bret Hart, Kevin Nash, and Jeff Jarrett are walking backstage.
A lot of walking on this show.
Yes. So then the announcers talk for, 30, 40 minutes. They're just at this desk with a one camera shot on them. It never changes. They just talk and talk and talk. So, the news they have to discuss. Goldberg has shredded a tendon in his arm, but he should return. Nobody has seen Scott Hall since Goldberg beat him up on Thunder. He did not show up at the pay-per-view. I guess it was a pay-per-view. He did not show up, today. So, Executive Vice President of WCW, Bill Bush, has had enough of the direction of the powers that be, Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara. It was decreed by Executive Vice President Bill Bush that if Scott Hall did not show up at the Houston Astrodome, where Nitro was, by 7 p.m., the Outsiders would be stripped of the tag team titles. That deadline had come and gone. The powers that be, who are apparently still in charge, even though we were just told they were not in charge. Confused yet?
Oh, I am all right.
They have booked a Lethal Lottery New Year's Evil Tag Team Tournament.
Yes.
I'll start tonight.
Yes. So, by the way, there was no Russo on this show. Dr. Claw's gone for the time being. And, yes, we're doing a Lethal Lottery. It's one of those things where, I guess when Russo was growing up, he thought the Lethal Lottery was really cool. But it sucked. It did horrible business. It was never a success. And here we are doing the lethal lottery in 1999.
If you're gonna do one of these, and we'll get into this, but have an air of authenticity and believability. Throw some random matchups out there. Don't have every single one be a combination of either a guy fighting his own partner or a guy teaming with his enemy or both. It just makes the whole thing stupid.
You know what? They also announced, I just realized this right now, they announced Bret Hart versus Jerry Lynn for the world title. We didn't see that match.
No, I was not. I'll be honest, I was not paying attention to the actual matches they discussed.
Yeah.
Recapping the news.
I was, because I was listening and I thought, Bret Hart versus Jerry Flynn for the championship? What the fuck's going on? So I guess that was lost in the technical difficulty.
I suppose so.
It's bizarre.
Which is a shame.
I don't know if I'd call it a shame, but
it would have been something. Bryan Knobbs versus Bam Bam Bigelow with Canyon on commentary. So Canyon, the gimmick is he comes out doing his entrance and he's got the mic headset. So he's doing his own commentary, doing commentary for the matches that went outside the ring. But the point is, the audio quality of this mic was terrible. Just awful.
yeah, it was like the mic was only feeding through the loudspeakers in the building, but there was no like direct feed to the back. So that, I don't even know how many people were here in this building, but it sounded like there was nobody there. Just this horrible, cavernous, echoing sound whenever anybody talked on the mic.
So very quickly, they brawl through the crowd. Canyon follows them to do commentary. The cameras do not follow them. So I counted. There's 90 seconds of this where we can barely see the rest of this at all. Occasionally, one or the other of their heads will pop into view. Mostly, we're looking at the backs of fans' heads. And we don't see what happens, but Canyon is following them. We hear Canyon say, 1, 2, 3, Knobbs wins.
Yeah. I don't know what was going
What
on.
the fuck was this?
I presume that they had a match, and I guess maybe there were supposed to be cameras there, but there weren't. So we just saw the crowd, and we heard Canyon talking about being amongst the marks. And
Yes.
Think about that, by the way. And then all of a sudden they just rang the bell, and I guess there was a winner. But
It was Knobbs.
yeah, I guess Knobbs won.
If Canyon is to be believed,
And I mean, he's not; he's a heel.
well, that's true.
We
But
have no proof otherwise.
I think
We must just take his word for it.
I'm connecting a lot of dots here. But I think Canyon probably screwed Bam Bam. And thus Knobbs won.
It'd be nice if they gave us that information.
It would. I'm speculating at best, but it would fit. A Cadillac arrives. Sid and Chris Benoit are in it. Conveniently, there's also a monster truck in the back just sitting there.
How about that?
The NWO harasses J.J. Dillon. This is also mic'd terribly.
Dude, it isn't they harass him. They're back there, and they hand the tag belts over to J.J. Dillon, because of course, Nash has been stripped because Hall didn't show up. And J.J.'s like, don't kill the messenger. Like, I'm not the one that decreed this. You should be mad at Bill Bush, who, by the way, just randomly has now appeared as a character on television. You never see the guy. Like, now he's the random new authority figure. So then they beat his ass. And I thought, like, where's Bill Bush? Like, shouldn't they be suspended or fined or both? Like, they're beating up J.J. Dillon here. And it's the same thing that we've seen since 1996. Grown men beating up dudes in the back, spray painting them, the whole NWO deal. It's just so dated.
So after the break, the NWO, it's their monster truck. And they are inspecting it, and they are very impressed. Then they find a Cadillac. It's just... Sid did not pull up into a parking spot. He pulled up in front of the gates and just parked it in the middle of everything and left. And he also left the lights on. So the NWO finds Sid's car. They note the lights are on. And then Nash says, let's get the gimmicks, man.
Oh, man, the gimmicks.
Sid goes out for a promo. Sid and Benoit, I don't want to alarm you, their mics are terrible.
Can understand a word they said.
What the hell is going on the show?
I know that Sid and Bret Hart are facing off. It's sold out for the
That is the
championship.
booked match. Yes.
Yep. He's going to powerbomb Bret to hell just like he did with Kevin Nash. And then Benoit is also echoing throughout the building. and the camera's shaking. And the production...
What a horrible television show this is.
Absolutely horrible. So Benoit announces that he's going to be involved in triple threat theater. Let me repeat that. Triple threat theater. He says, first, there will be a dungeon rules only match. This is with Jeff Jarrett. No ropes, no way out, pinfall or submission. You leave, you lose. Then he says, it's a bunkhouse brawl.
I had to watch this like 10 times to determine he said bunkhouse brawl.
It was very, very difficult to determine there. And then he says the third match is going to be caged heat.
So yeah, it's triple threat theater, where each of the 3 stages also has a wacky nickname.
Yes. So what you might ask is caged heat. Benoit says, it's a cage match. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Oh, God.
I was like, that's caged heat? So, yes. And it kind of makes me sad that Benoit ends up leaving and going to WWE. We never saw the triple threat theater, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, spoiler alert, this pay-per-view goes horribly, horribly wrong.
Oh, too bad. I really wanted to see triple threat theater.
Well, it happens, but Benoit's not involved.
Yes.
But we'll get to that. So I just want to know, he announces these 3 matches, and he says, best 2 out of 3 wins.
Yeah.
So does that mean if Jeff Jarrett, for example, wins the Dungeon Rules match, and then also wins the Bunkhouse Brawl, he's already won 2, do they even bother with the caged heat?
I presume they don't do caged heat.
Or is this canceled?
I presume it would be canceled at that
Or are we just supposed to think that it's fake and destined to go to 3 falls?
Well, that too.
The NWO in the parking lot has now tagged Sid's car.
3 grown men tagging Sid's car in 2000. Just like, dude.
There's a cartoon of Sid on the hood that actually looks like Sid, and then I remembered Bret Hart was a talented cartoonist.
He was a very talented cartoonist.
I'm sure he did this part.
Sid should have been happy.
Yeah.
I mean, of all things, I mean,
I don't know if I go that far, but
his own likeness on his car, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Vinny, your new Jeep, if Bret Hart showed up and drew your likeness on the hood of that Jeep, you ain't complaining.
I think I would, actually. I'd rather have no likeness on the hood of my Jeep. I'm fine with it being plain. So Sid and Benoit go running to the car. Sid was definitely not fine with his car being having his own likeness. He was so angry, in fact, that I believe he said, "God dog it."
God dog it.
And he followed that up with, "Man."
Yeah, I love Sid.
All right. Let the Lethal Lottery New Year's Evil Tag Team Tournament begin. By the way, they're calling it New Year's Evil because it's obviously close to the end of the year. But this tournament is actually stretching over several weeks.
Yeah.
So it's going to go into well past the New Year's Eve.
Well, December 27th is close to New Year's Eve, so it's New Year's Evil.
Yeah, but next round.
I know. Okay. So stupid.
Opening match. Buzzkill and Mike Rotunda versus Conan and Dean Malenko.
Yes.
So Buzzkill, now, in case you weren't, just to make it clear, they're ripping off Road Dogg. He now has the New Age Outlaws rip-off music. He's doing the exact same promo,
It's
the exact same catchphrases.
total rip-off of the music.
Can you imagine being told we need to go rip off your younger brother?
Yeah, that's what he was doing, dude.
Yeah.
In fact, he even said that in storyline.
So, of course, in a random draw, luck of the draw, we have Conan of the Filthy Animals teaming with Dean Malenko of the Revolution.
What a damn coincidence.
It's amazing how this works.
Yeah.
For 60 seconds, we had Dean Malenko wrestling his ass off with these 1980s guys who knew how to work. And it was so awesome. And it couldn't last. Dean and Conan start fighting. A brawl breaks out. Buzzkill pins Dean. This totally sucked. And then Tony Schiavone warns us, we've got 7 more matches like this to go.
Buzzkill pin Malenko. Hacksaw was there. Leia Meow was there.
Oh, I didn't write all this down.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
The Revolution was there.
Oh, there's
You're killing me here.
like, I couldn't write it all down because there's so much going on at once.
Yes.
There's a brawl on the floor, interference from 2 women, and a janitor with a stick. All getting involved here. All at the exact same goddamn time. That's why I didn't bother to write it down and forgot about it until you brought it up and made me mad. It's a good thing we changed that mic gain. I might get
I may
agitated.
need to down one more.
Want me to?
Yeah, go do it.
All right, hang on.
Let's do this live, everybody. Vince is getting so agitated. We're just gonna try to keep making this work better.
All right.
All right, there we go.
Down one more.
Okay.
Backstage, the NWO sabotages the TV truck. We briefly go off the air. And then tragedy struck. The show returned.
Yeah, come back and the picture's still messed up.
Broadcast quality not up to our standards, they say.
Yes.
So a limo arrives. Scott Steiner gets out with his big giant back brace and a cane. And Rick is there to greet him, give him a hug, and get out of his wheelchair.
Did any fucking viewer not know exactly where this was going? How many times have they done this angle?
Not only that, they just did the whole NWO swerve last week.
Yes.
When everything is a swerve, none of them are surprises, so none of them are swerves. The NWO destroyed catering.
Oh, great.
These poor, innocent croissants and muffins went flying.
Oh, the worst.
Shane,
Oh,
who you've
fuck.
forgotten, is Virgil doing a
Vincent.
Shane McMahon gimmick.
Yeah, Vincent, Virgil, Shane,
Curly Bill, yes.
Curly Bill.
Now, it's supposed to be Shane McMahon, but for some reason he's out there in a shirt and tie, which I don't think Shane had ever worn at this point.
Yeah, he did a little bit.
All right, well, he's fighting Tank Abbott.
He didn't wrestle in it, but like he showed up on TV in it.
Okay. He's fighting Tank Abbott. Tank knocks him out and wins by knockout in 30 seconds.
So, the match, everybody, is Tank Abbott versus Shane. Okay, that's what in storyline, World Championship Wrestling, signed Tank Abbott versus Shane. Okay, Tank Abbott goes in there, he knocks him out with a one-punch KO. Shane is dead. The referee sees that he is a corpse. He does not call for the bell. Billy Silverman decides, I need to raise his arm 3 times. So, Tank punches him in the head again. Fucking referee raises his arm, drops once. Tank punches him in the fucking head a second time. Referee raises his arm. I'm like, dude, it's over. You fucking moron.
Did you mention Tank choking Shane with his own tie while punching him in the head?
Yes. So finally the ref calls for the bell and the match is over. And the most bizarre thing I've ever seen, Tank Abbott stops hitting the guy because the ref finally called for the bell. Tank Abbott is a UFC fighter. He's been trained like, don't stop punching until the ref stops it.
Sure.
He starts walking around the ring. He's just all full of pride that he won with a one-punch KO. And all of a sudden, Doug Dillinger and security and cops hit the ring to get rid of... I'm like, what in the fuck is supposed to be going on here? He won the match clean as a sheet. He stopped hitting the guy when the referee stopped the fight. And now you brought out cops? What's happening here?
I don't know.
Why does nothing on this show make sense?
I don't know.
Why were there cops out there?
I don't
He didn't
know.
break one rule.
I don't know. Why was choking him with a tie?
Well, then it's a ref's job to say, quit choking the guy with his fucking tie.
That's the best I can
The ref was busy raising the guy's... I hope the cops were out there to arrest the referee.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what happened.
Yes. Backstage, Rick Steiner pushes Scott around in his wheelchair. So there's this New Year's Evil sweepstakes. And we were told the winners of this sweepstakes would be flown to this show here in the Astrodome. And after the show, they will get to party with wrestlers and the Nitro Girls. And they show these fans. Dude. That's all I can say.
Okay.
All right. I am a fair man. This is a terrible show. This is an awful show. But there was one great thing on it.
Yes.
The Scott Steiner tribute video. So it's a decade of Scott Steiner whipping ass. And he's suplexing dudes and Frankensteinering them and throwing them around. He's got this sweet mullet. He's got his huge biceps. And he just looks awesome. And they're talking about how through all the years, his 3rd, 4th, and 5th vertebrae had ruptured.
Oh,
And after a second consultation with his doctor, Scott Steiner learned he would never be able to wrestle again. And here is the closing part of the speech on this tribute video. It is with this tribute that we at World Championship Wrestling and the entire Turner family wish to send our sincerest thanks to Scott Steiner for all of his years of dedication, hard work, entertainment, and his friendship. Thank you, Scott. There will never be another man quite like you to grace the squared circle.
Well, that's true.
This sport is a better place, which makes no sense, because of your involvement, and we will never forget your contribution. Good luck to you as you embark on perhaps the most challenging battle of your life. Scott, we're all in your corner.
Oh, heart-wrenching.
So awesome. So the Steiners come out with this promo, which means we get to hear Steiner line for maybe the last time on Nitro.
Yes, last time ever.
Scott is dewy-eyed.
Oh, Scott says, you know what? I had a speech, but I watched that video.
Yeah.
Just brought me to tears. He's literally weeping.
Rick hugs him and leaves, and yeah, Scott is weeping.
And you know what? Looking at that video package, I believe this guy has been moved to tears.
I did, yes. He's talking about degenerative discs, surgery. The doctors told him doctors told him to retire. The toughest part of all this, he says, I'll never be able to wrestle with my brother again.
Oh,
At this point, Rick had left to give Scott his time, and he stopped at the top of the ramp to turn around and look at him in sadness. Oh, this is all so tragic. Scott's last words, please everyone, please say a prayer for me. So he is done, and he goes to leave, but out comes the NWO. They bury his ass. Bret Hart was off his game last week, to put it kindly. He was on fire here. Truth is, Scott, you're never that good anyway. Get your stinking ass out of the ring. We don't have time for a washed-up nobody like you. They bury him for a while. A production geek is telling them to go to commercial, so Jeff Jarrett levels him with a guitar. Yeah. A random WCW production employee is attacked by a wrestler with a guitar. There will be no repercussions for this.
nah, Bill Bush doesn't care about that. The guy probably sucked at his job, I guess.
Yeah. So they do go to break. When they come back, the NWO is still in the ring.
They're just babbling on and on. They're calling the fans pussies or calling the fans assholes.
If you pay attention to what they were saying here, I'm pretty sure Jeff thought they were still in commercial.
He may have. It's just...
All these local references about Houston fans and the Astrodome, and they should call it the Asshole Dome.
It's just... Like, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
I realize we're watching this in 2018 and, like, we keep seeing it for years and years and years, but, I mean, when you watch this show week by week by week, and they're just going back to the goddamn NWO again in literally, we're in 2000 now. I know it's the 27th or whatever, but we're in the year 2000. They're going back to the NWO again. And it's not even like it's something new. They're doing the same shit from 1996. We tag people. We hit the production guy because that's edgy or whatever. We do the cheap heat yelling at the people. It's just so lame.
It is. It's terribly lame.
Nash is rambling about Bill Bush. I love when they do this. It's like, yeah, everybody that works there, y'all know who Bill Bush is, okay? Us fans, we have no fucking clue who this guy is, nor do we give a shit. He's out there talking about Bill Bush and belts, and it's like, who cares? Like, how could anyone possibly care about this?
I didn't. Tell you that much. So they run down the Astrodome and Goldberg and Sid and Benoit. And finally, Sid drives his tagged Cadillac down the aisle to ringside so he and Benoit can get out and attack them with baseball bats.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out why in the fuck did Sid drive his car into the arena and down the ramp to get these guys? That makes no sense. And the reason is, after the NWO leaves, Kurt Hennig, for absolutely no reason, attacks two men who are carrying baseball bats. They hit him with their baseball bats that they are carrying, and the payoff is they throw him over the top rope, and he takes a bump on the hood of the car, and that's it.
Yep.
It was so important to get a guy going over the top rope and bumping on the hood of a car, they had to have him just run out for no reason to take this bump.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't going to be Nash. And, you know, Brett's head was probably killing him.
Yeah.
I don't know what Jared's problem was. I guess they wanted to keep his heat. So, yeah, poor Kurt Hennig just has to run out just to get thrown under the hood of a car.
But we believe believe that they're very concerned with wrestler safety.
Yes.
It's very important. This show was in Houston,
Yes.
Texas.
Yes.
The Astrodome. Forget where last week's show was. Maybe it was in the Eastern Seaboard, but they flew the Revolution to Washington, D.C. to cut a 1-minute promo in front of the White House.
Vinny. How many were there? 4?
I believe so, yes.
And a cameraman, 5. Okay,
And
so
whoever was the random guy in the mask.
yeah, so probably about, I'd say $2,500 to fly him there and back. How much did that Cadillac cost they ran over the end of the show?
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. I mean, it's just as much those 6 people. They had to spend a whole day flying to D.C. and back to film this.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, Dave and the Observer loved this, and I was all excited for it because it's got like Shane Douglas and everything. But they're standing in front of the White House. A fake Clinton shows up. They do bad comedy, and it's over in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe there was another one that got cut from the show and the technical difficulties. I guess that's possible.
That would make me feel better about the whole thing.
Yeah, this was just like a load of shit. This sucked.
All it is Shane Douglas saying Bill Clinton is your president. His whole administration is built on scandals and lies, which, anyway. And the payoff is Perry Saturn finds a guy in a Bill Clinton mask and chases him down with a giant butterfly net and catches him. And if I've made that sound in any way funny or entertaining or amusing, I apologize. That's not my intent, because it was none of those things.
It was none of those things.
A lethal lottery match. Norman Smiley and Asia.
Yes.
For those of you not paying attention, that's a woman. Versus Asia's friend Perry Saturn,
Yes.
who is teaming with their enemy, Hacksaw Duggan.
Yes. All correct.
The World Tag Team titles go to the winner of this tournament.
Yes.
So Hacksaw begins by assaulting and beating up his own partner. He punches him, he clotheslines him, he body slams him, and then he goes to stand in the corner in anticipation of a tag, and Saturn just gets up and he just wrestles this match. What?
Why would you ever sign a lethal lottery tournament for the tag team titles? You know what I'm saying?
You will end up with you were destined to end up with a tag team champions who suck.
Or because it's lethal lottery, every team sucks because they're just random people put together that have no experience teaming together. Which means at the end of the tournament, your champions, the 2 least shitty individuals pairing up, they're still going to be the shittiest tag team on the roster because all of the other tag teams are experienced. So why would you ever, if this were real, sign a lethal lockdown tournament to determine tag team champions? Unless you were an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a way you could do it where like a mismatched team comes together and actually does work as a team.
Sure, but
There'd be a
still,
story to tell there.
still at the end of the tournament, I mean, they're a mismatched team competing with all of the other veteran teams.
Yeah.
They're at a disadvantage as champions.
You know what? Would it be much better if they, instead of actually winning the tag team titles, if they got a title shot?
That would be 1,000 times better.
Okay.
Because then if they get their title shot and they actually can win the titles from the actual champions, then they have accomplished something and they have credibility.
There you go. Okay.
Yes. What you're doing here is just every idiot team is facing every other idiot team, and the idiot team that's the least idiotic wins.
That is what happens.
Yes.
So Saturn is beating up Norman, but then, like a dumbass, he drops his top rope elbow onto Norman's chest protector. Norman's in there in goddamn armor, and Saturn drops his elbow right across the armor, hurts his arm. Asia tags in. Saturn doesn't want to fight her. She low blows him. She superplexes him, which is so scary.
Fuck, you should have seen her trying to shoot low below him. He's like not positioned, so she's like lunging at his genitals.
Yeah. So the ref gets distracted by something. Hacksaw attacks Saturn again. He covers Saturn and counts his own pin. He leaves. Norman actually pins Saturn, and then Hacksaw beats up everyone with his stick and celebrates with his family.
Yeah, his family was there. That was at least nice. We had a happy ending, kind of. Even though
He has a lovely family.
his team lost.
Yeah.
I think.
Kidman walks backstage.
Yeah, Norman and Asia won. Got it.
Kidman versus Jeff Jarrett. For a short time, this was very fun.
Yeah, this was fine. It's just hard to give a shit about any of this because nothing matters.
And you know, inevitably, someone's going to come out and interfere. And sure enough, Nash and Brett come out. They start attacking Kidman.
Hold on. Allow me. I wrote copious notes, okay? It's Kidman versus Jarrett. Nash comes out to watch. Nash yanks the rope down right in front of the referee, causing Kidman to fly over to the floor. Not a DQ. Filthy Animals come out. They attack Jarrett in the aisle. The referee is looking right at them. Not a DQ. Nash goes after the Filthy Animals. Ray hits Jarrett with a crutch right in front of the referee. Not a DQ. Jarrett kicks out. Kidman hits a powerbomb into the facebuster, at which point Bobby Heenan says, "Never saw anything like that." Yeah. Well, except for every fucking single Kidman match there's ever been. Kidman goes up top. Nash crotches him right in front of the referee. Not a DQ. Jarrett hits a stroke for the pin. Okay, listen. Okay. This was Mickey J. Believe it or not, it was not Nick Patrick. How can you be so bad at your job? Do you understand what I'm saying? There was like 5 examples of interference here in this match. It's one thing if like you're paying attention to the match and you accidentally see something you're not supposed to see one time. He accidentally saw what he was not supposed to see every single time. Was he so invested in this match as a fan that he had to see every single thing that happened? What happened here?
And it's not just that. There were never less than 2, and often up to like 5 or 6 people around ringside. He had much opportunity to be distracted.
He was the worst referee I've ever seen during this match, and that is saying something.
So, the only things I can add to this are at one point, after Brett and Nash interfered, and Kidman kept kicking out of everything anyway, and he is so bored of this, he just says, "Come on, Jarrett, pin the goof." And then
the announcers yell at him.
He's not a goof.
Can you give him a little bit of credit?
Yeah.
He's like, who cares?
The other thing is that in this melee here between the Filthy Animals and the NWO, it's only a couple of seconds long, but hey, we got to watch Bret Hart and Eddie Guerrero trading punches.
Benoit.
No, it is Bret.
Bret
Hart and Eddie Guerrero were trading punches here.
Eddie Guerrero?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was out there. You're right.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Who cares? I'm done. I've hit my wall.
Well, we still have...
That's what I'm doing over Christmas break, dude. I'm watching Raw, SmackDown, and this show.
Yeah. Gene Okerlund then tells us what you are about to see is a total mockery.
Thank God he told me that, because I thought this was the real Sting.
We may not have ever figured out what's going on.
Sting comes out as Luger in a wig.
Yes.
And I think Gene said something like a nice weave or something like that.
Nice rug.
Rug, that's right. So, well, first off, I just got to get this out. Luger's trying to be Sting, and so he's doing Sting's woo. For some reason, he's going, ow, like he's a wolf man. Every time.
Yeah.
Isn't that hard?
That made it better, though.
I guess it kind of did.
He's so funny being a horrible Sting. Even Liz is laughing. He's just awful, but that makes it funny.
It was funny, but like, I mean, is anyone clamoring to see Sting get his hands on Luger? We just want to see more Luger being funny. This is extremely ineffective.
That's true. That is true. So, I don't know if we ever talked about this, but the angle of the pay-per-view was Sting gave Liz the fake mace, but then she just hit him with a baseball bat anyway. Hit him in the face with a baseball bat. We are told that Sting has broken wrists. Plural, broken wrists.
Yeah, how'd that happen?
And a fractured skull. I guess he hit him in the face hard and his wrists broke.
I think maybe they were trying to say ribs.
Still.
Wrists.
So Sting will return at the end of January, we are told. And this goes on for a bit with Lex doing his hysterically awful fake Sting. The lights go out. There's a thunderclap. Eventually the lights come up. Gene is gone. But there are black roses in the ring. When the announcer says, "Black roses? That's the symbol of death."
Yeah.
Did Gene die?
Well, I mean, it's a
Who's
message.
dead?
It's a message, Vinny. Sting is dropping black roses because Luger is going to be dead.
Now, to answer your earlier question, Brian, I must admit the crowd was in fact clamoring for Sting here.
Well, okay. I watched it and I just thought, you know what? I don't want Sting to come back because he's going to ruin my fun. He's going to ruin Lex Luger entertaining me.
Backstage, okay, I don't know if do we talk about Scott Hall?
Well, I mean, we know he's not there, and thus they have to vacate the titles. He didn't show up
Scott
at 7
Hall
p.m.
has been stripped of the tag titles for not showing up to the building on time.
Yes.
But, through the grace of their hearts, they have offered to put him back into the tournament if he can show up by the end of the show. What?
Vinny.
What?
Vinny, it's actually worse. They stripped Hall of the titles. Punishment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if he shows up, he didn't show up by 7, okay? So they stripped him of the title. But if he shows up by 10, they will allow him to enter a lethal lottery tournament with his own partner.
Yes.
So it's not just that they're letting him back into the tournament for the belts that they stripped from him, Vinny. They're letting him back in with an extreme advantage over every other fucking team.
Yes.
This is the worst show.
Yeah.
Of all time.
This is the worst one. I know we've said that before.
This is getting there.
As we get over this, as we go over this show, I realize this was the worst Nitro. So I bring up Scott Hall because in this clip, Nash is on the phone with him. Keeps calling him Scott. He's giving him directions to the Houston Astrodome.
Well, Vinny, it's Scott Hall.
It's a big domed building, he says.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're in downtown Seattle, it might be hard to find that key arena, you know? A lot of one-ways. This is the least of our problems, Vinny.
Our next match.
Here's one for you. Okay, seriously, help me out here. All right? Please. It's Finlay and Meng, Lethal Lottery, against the two men who used to be Creative Control.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now they are the Harris Boys.
Okay, hold on a second. So when they first came out, I thought, all right, so the powers that be, Vince Russo, want Creative Control to win. Therefore, in this Lethal Lottery tournament, they're allowing them to be put together as a team, right?
Sure.
I mean, no announcer mentioned this.
No.
But that's the first thing that I thought. But then I realized they're not wrestling in their Creative Control attire.
No.
They're in tank tops and shit.
That's Ron and Don Harris.
They announced that they're now the Harris Boys.
And they're no longer aligned with powers that be.
So you're now telling me that they're no longer aligned with the powers that be, but they have been allowed by the powers that be to team up together in the Lethal Lockdown? Or are we supposed to believe that this was like a random draw?
A random draw, Brian.
Dude.
This is just a coincidence. That's how fucking stupid they are.
Jesus God almighty.
So Meng hits the ring. He just starts brawling with Finlay before the other team's even announced. I'm not doing the math, but this is 3 or 4 of these matches, and every single one somebody's attacked their own partner. Tony Schiavone outright says, "We've seen this all too many times tonight." Keep on fighting. The Harrises come out. There's briefly an actual tag match going on, and then Meng and Finlay keep fighting, and they fight up the aisle, and they get counted out. Fuck you.
Yep.
Schiavone here says, as they're getting counted out, like they're getting farther away from the ring, Schiavone is sure to point out the Harrises are doing a very smart thing here. By just sitting on their ass and not following them to get counted out themselves. Very smart.
Yeah,
Tony Schiavone is very impressed.
It's like Warrior Roland. Extreme intelligence.
So they brawl up the aisle just forever. They're fighting up the aisle after the count out legit longer than the actual match itself. Then the lights go out, and a mysterious figure attacks the Harrises. He's supposed to disappear, but the lights come on early and he has to run away. I watched this over and over. There's a dude, he appears on camera right between like the ref and one of the Harrises. He jumps to his feet. He's wearing a Tommy Hilfiger sweatshirt so you can spot him. He shrugs for like a long time asking what the fuck is going on. He drops his arms. He's looking at the aisle trying to figure out what's happening. And you see him do like a violent shrug again as if to say, who the fuck was that? This is the worst show of all time.
It's up there.
David and Daphne are backstage watching a movie in the dark, calling themselves the Natural Born Killers.
Yeah.
Here is where we cut to the middle of Vampiro beating up 3 Count.
Yeah.
They did.
We just cut back and 3 Count is dancing. I'm
Yeah.
like, when the fuck did 3 Count debut? Why is Evan Courageous suddenly in a boy band? Vampiro's beating him up, and it leads to I gotta take over. Now I'm really getting agitated.
The show's awful, man.
My family's here. I'm trying to really just reel it in, but
You want me to go? I can...
no. I must talk about this, okay? So, they announce Evan Courageous and Vampiro are partners here in this lethal lottery. Their opponents tonight are David Flair and the Maestro.
What a coinkydink!
What a crazy random draw.
David Flair and the Maestro have been feuding. He's been terrorizing Symphony. Now they are partners.
Yes.
Who'd have thunk it? How wacky!
So, it's supposed to be Maestro, but Crowbar debuts. Devon Storm. Crowbar takes his crowbar and he beats up the Maestro. The Maestro is dead. Okay? Are you with me now?
I follow you, yes.
Okay. So, David Flair's partner has been killed and he is now unavailable. Correct? Okay.
Yes, that is a good point, Bryan.
So then, Crowbar walks to the ring, and he is allowed to be the new partner of David Flair. So what you're telling me, you fucking idiots, is that you have arranged a lethal lottery where everybody must have a random partner, and because a guy beat up his partner, he's now allowed to choose his own partner who happens to be his friend?
Yeah.
This is bullshit. It's completely unfair. And I didn't even think about this till just now. Do you know I got an Apple Watch for Christmas?
An Apple Watch.
Yeah, and it monitors my heart rate. I should literally go through my heart rate as I do this recap here. So later in the show, not to do much of a spoiler here, but it's supposed to be Kevin Nash and Scott Hall versus The Wall and Sid, okay? Hall doesn't show up.
No.
And we are explicitly fucking told 20 minutes later that Nash can't just choose any replacement partner he wants.
No.
He can't just choose Jeff Jarrett or Bret Hart. He can only tag in the lethal lottery with the partner with whom he was assigned. Meanwhile, 20 fucking minutes earlier, a guy beats up his goddamn partner, and his buddy who helped him beat him up comes out and he replaces the guy in the team. This Vinny, you're right. I was wrong. This is the dumbest show I've ever watched in my life. It's horrible.
It's unforgivable. Now, the rest of this is small potatoes compared to all that, but I must comment on some of this.
This is not small potatoes. At the end of this review, I wrote, "This show is your brain on drugs." Just because of this segment here.
So the Maestro comes out. I don't know if we mentioned this, but the Maestro's piano music, I think it's just Paul Orndorff's Mr. Wonderful theme without the vocals. Now, the music starts to play, right? They cut to the entranceway where there's a piano on a platform. And the Maestro walks up to the piano, and he turns his back and he walks away from the piano. They went through all this trouble to have a piano out there when he didn't even play it. And then he just gets killed by Crowbar anyway. So Crowbar comes out. We are told that on Thunder, Crowbar was working at a filling station.
Oh my God, I remember this.
And that is where David Flair and Tiffany found him.
Oh my God, I remember this.
So this guy from the Chevron gets in this ring, and he's better than half the crew. He's doing suplexes. He's doing flipping somersault leg drops. He's holding his own against Vampiro. This grease monkey is putting everyone to shame. So there is more bullshit here.
Maybe the name of the place was Spot Monkey.
Hey, there you go.
Hey.
So 3 Count gets back involved. Vampiro's fighting with them. Daphne's out there. They're using weapons. I could not, for the life of me, I was trying to write down everything that happened, and I gave up. There's a lot of shit going on. Crowbar hit Vampiro with a pipe with help from 3 Count. So David gets the pin. Evan is watching this, and after the pin realizes, hey, wait, I just lost. So he's fucked himself. At this point, 3 Count says, oh well. They clear the ring so they can dance again. I didn't know they had royalty-free music with vocals.
Oh, sure they do, of course.
There's some awful uncopyrighted boy band pop being played in as they start to dance. One of the very few moments of joy in the show was David Flair in the ring behind them, dancing alongside with them, and really dancing better than them.
Yes.
They beat them up with a crowbar. So we've had this bullshit before the match with Vampiro and 3 Count. We had this bullshit match with tons of interference. We've had this bullshit after the match where the dancers get beat up by the other guys. There's more bullshit, everyone. This segment will not die. Fucking Lenny and Lodi are out there. They are now standards and practices. They are accompanied by Miss Hancock, who we already know introduces Stacy Keibler.
I'd forgotten her name.
Yeah.
I wrote down Stacy Keibler. I remember now. Oh, my God.
So they're out there. This is their debut. They tell David and Crowbar to behave themselves, and now Crowbar and David beat them up. This is one segment.
This was where I wrote, this show is your brain on drugs. So, David and Crowbar...
I needed to rest.
David and Crowbar beat them up with weapons. Stacy calmly just steps out of the ring.
She steps out of the ring and...
My men are being beaten. I must leave.
My men are being attacked with weapons. It's time for me to go. And as I leave, I shall step to the ropes and keep my legs straight and bend all the waist to show my ass to the camera.
Of course. Get with the program, Vinny.
It's very important that she does this as her men are being destroyed and with weapons.
So, by the way, long before the fake 3 Can music started and Daphne began making out with David, before that even happened, Tony Schiavone says, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It continues. We have the fake 3 Can music. Daphne makes out with David. Standards and practice debuts. Stacy Keibler's out there. Miss Hancock. David and Crowbar beat up Standards and practices. Stacy leaves the ring. She bends over. Finally, Tony Schiavone wraps it up saying, that is as bizarre a segment as you'll ever find on this program. He throws to break.
He just gave up.
This segment was unbelievably bad. How many debuts? Let me count how many debuts we had in one segment. Are you ready?
Sure.
We had 3 Count. All right, so that's at least 2. I won't count Evan Courageous. All right,
okay, it's 2.
We had Crowbar debuted.
3.
We had. I'm trying to get through the match here. Standards and practices. I guess standards and practices. You know what? I'm going to count standards and practices as a new act.
It's their new gimmick.
Yep.
That's
Steelers now Miss Hancock. That's another one.
That's 6.
6. Yeah. 6 debuts. You know what's funny is like a couple of months ago we were just talking about. Think about how many things take place between now and when the company dies in 2001. Like we got huge erection, all this other bullshit. Okay. And it's like, God, how the fuck how does it, like, Lance hasn't even showed up yet? And it's like, how in the world, Mike Awesome? I could go on and on. But anyway, now we know. They debut 6 people in one segment on one show. We could debut 700 people between now and March of 2001.
I might debut on Nitro soon.
It's very possible.
I've forgotten.
That we're going to show up there.
The NWO is backstage bickering. They want to know where Scott is. Nash tells them Scott will be here. There's all sorts of audio problems in this horrible, awful, miserable television show. Now, this is explained by the end, but they've been in line for 1 week, and they were already bickering here.
Even I fixed our audio issues on this show.
Yeah, it wasn't that hard. You told me to do it. I know nothing.
You know nothing. I had to have Vinny plug in boxes. I had to have Vinny find IPs. I had to have Vinny turn down gain. But it took 9 minutes for me to get the audio in order here. These fucking guys are going on 3 hours. It still sucks.
Lethal Lottery match, Canyon and Buff Bagwell versus Disco Inferno and Big Vito. Bryan, it's funny how this all worked out. By the luck of the random draw, Disco's teaming with his new buddy, Big Vito.
Crazy. And Canyon and Buff are feuding. It's nuts.
Were they?
Yeah, I think so.
I've forgotten.
I mean, maybe not. I think everyone's feuding with everybody. But listen, I'm a fair man. Fans were super into Buff getting the win here. That's a positive. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Big Vito was fucking great. He was awesome on this show. He was great. Johnny the Bull doesn't do anything yet, so he's still great. And Tony Mamaluke is just an incredibly annoying Tony Mamaluke. Their music is awesome. It is a fantastic act. It saved the show for me in some ways. Still the worst show I've ever seen, but I mean, this was a bright spot. It was still stupid.
So Canyon comes out with the ladies. That's what the graphic actually reads. Chris Champagne Canyon with ladies.
Dude.
Johnny the Bull and Tony Marinero are hitting on the ladies. This angers Canyon, so he doesn't just send the women backstage, he goes with them. And as he is going up the ramp with his women, Bobby Heenan, dripping with scorn, just says, "Fence builder."
I love that.
Buff doesn't care that his partner left without him. He laughs it all off. The match keeps going. Eventually, Disco accidentally hits Vito with a chain. Buff pins Vito with a blockbuster. The Italians order Disco, who's not part of the family, to attack Buff. Reluctantly, he does, and they beat him up, and I think that's the end.
I think a lot of people probably know this, especially if you're longtime listeners, but Canyon, the late Chris Canyon, was one of my best friends in wrestling. And I'm so sad that he's gone.
Do you know how much fun we would have with him?
Oh my God!
Over these shows,
I
never spoke to him myself.
I was just thinking about this, and I was thinking about the Christmas show and how unbelievably awesome he'd have been on the Christmas show, and how much fun we would have had going back over these shows again. It's depressing.
Yeah, watching late '90s wrestling is often depressing, but I understand that it's a personal note.
I mean, think about this. I mean, we had so much fun laughing about this shit when it was happening. Like, imagine looking back today.
Yeah. Yeah. Kevin Nash walks backstage. We then get what is announced as Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Again, the random draw has put two partners together. Versus a Sid who's feuding with them. And a true random name in The Wall.
Well, finally a random name.
That Wall is very random here, I will concede that. So, Scott Hall is still not there. For more time. It's the end of a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
He does not get
We have 4 hours. That's what this show needs.
He does not
We're about to go to 2 hours. Give us 1 more hour this last week.
He does not get any more time, and he is told that Bret Hart and Jeff Jarrett cannot wrestle with him. He must go it alone.
You can only have your original partner, is what he's told.
So we get Kevin Nash in a 2-on-1 match against The Wall and Sid, advantage baby faces.
Of course, yeah.
At least...
I don't think The Wall's a baby face, though.
Whatever. At
Actually,
least
I don't know.
Nash's friends, while not technically in the match, were frequently interfering to at least give the illusion, or try to give the impression, that he had the numbers on his side. So eventually, most of this match is Kevin Nash versus The Wall 1-on-1, if you can imagine that. It actually was funny because there's a point where I guess Wall didn't get the memo about Nash not liking to bump. Because he grabs him for a back suplex. And the look on Nash's face is like, oh no. And Wall just throws him up, and then he just throws him down. You won't see Nash bump like this very often. So finally, Sid, after all this interference, he loses his mind. He hits the ring without a tag. He throws the ref away, and he throws what I know I'm given to hyperbole on the show, and I know there's some recency bias here, but Sid hit Kevin Nash with the funniest punch of his entire career. He throws that elbow back, and that fist is all balled up but pointing the wrong way. And he's leaning back on one leg, and that other leg is high up in the air, pointing forward. I cackled and cackled and cackled. So Sid is attacking in this brawl. The Wall punches Bret Hart, who has suffered a career-ending concussion by now. Punches him right in the head. Then Nash hits the Wall with a baseball bat and pins him. That's the end of the match. Benoit hits the ring. There's a huge melee going on.
By the way, I want to mention that when he hit him with the bat, Sid was beating up Jeff Jarrett in the ring. This was not a disqualification.
No, who cares? So Benoit comes out, and Scott Steiner limps out. He's got a bat, and he's got his back brace. And then, you'll never guess, everyone, he hit Sid with his bat.
Oh, I can't even believe it. Are you kidding me? It was a swerve the whole time.
And he pulls off his back brace, and he pulls off his shirt. He's got an NWO shirt on. And the announcers say, hey, they said Scott would be here. And that's Scott.
What a swerve.
Don't we all feel dumb for not seeing that coming?
Actually, on the swerve scale, that's a great one, actually.
So
he promised a Scott, and a Scott showed up.
I lost track of how, but Sid's car was at ringside again.
Yeah, they drove it out there. That's how Sid showed up in it, I think.
I forget. But he's out there. They throw him in the passenger seat. They all get in the car. There's no room for Big Sexy. So Nash gets on the hood of the car and just hangs on for dear life. And they weren't slipping on ice. But people have gotten hurt doing stuff less stupid than this.
Well, let's be perfectly honest here. This could have been Nash going into business for himself.
It absolutely could have.
Yeah.
This is more comment on the era than any one particular individual outside of Nash, who was the one sitting on the hood of a car, trying to hang on with one hand and look cool with his other. So they drive into the parking lot. They all get out, and they had this many technical issues.
Well, that's true. I mean, that.
We
that
didn't even
was
talk
terrible.
about. There was stuff that was outright cut. There's other stuff that they had to run with a disclaimer because the audio was so terrible. They fixed it.
Yeah.
There's random scratches and hisses the entire segment.
That's true. I mean, production-wise, but it was also shorter, Vinny.
Well, that makes it better.
We didn't have to watch 25 extra minutes.
That is a fair point.
That's fucking tough. I think, Vinny, I think we can safely say this was one of the top 3 worst wrestling television shows we've ever seen. Is that fair?
It's the worst. It's the worst one I've seen this week for sure.
Well, for sure this week, yeah. Raw and SmackDown were like, they should get Emmys compared to this shit.
Now somehow, even though we missed 20 minutes, I still seem to have written about 1,000 words on the finishes.
Well, I don't have the music, so you're just gonna have to do the finishes without it.
I shall do my best.
The floor is yours, Vinny.
The finishes on this miserably bad television show were: pin in a hardcore match that we couldn't see. Pin in a tag match after partners turned on each other, and a brawl broke out, and a woman interfered, and another woman interfered, and a janitor hit a guy in a 2x4, all in 2 minutes. Knockout in 30 seconds. Pin in a tag match after a guy gets beat up by his own partner, and his friend on the other team, and a guy with armor. Pin after interference from at least 5 guys with at least 2 weapons. Count out when 2 guys decided they'd rather fight each other than their opponents. Pin after one guy walks out on his partner and another guy hits his partner with a chain. Pin in a handicap match. Advantage baby faces.
Jesus.
With all sorts of interference.
Oh my God.
This is wrestling on acid.
I wrote that earlier. The show is your brain on drugs. Horrible. One of the top 3 worst nitros of all time. But hey, it's the final 3-hour show. They went out with a bang.
I suppose technically that's true.
I'm overjoyed that I will never watch a 3-hour show again, outside of Raw on Mondays. Because we're giving up before 2012, Vinny. We're going to be retired on an island before 2012 comes along as we follow through these shows. All right, everybody, that's it. We're going to wrap it up here for today. I want to thank you all for listening. We will be back on Sunday with Retro Raw from 19 years ago this week.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back on track for Raw and Nitro the following Tuesday. So Vinny's going to check the NWA schedule. If it's only an hour long, we'll watch that as well. Otherwise, we'll get into it again the following week. And that's it, everybody. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you again after a while.
Adios.